Welcome, everybody, to the JPDUB podcast. Welcome back, I should say. I hope you guys enjoyed our last episode with Kevin Salk, the punk photographer that took us back to the 80s hardcore. It was a great time, but now we're on to new things. We're on the heavy metal side of things. And with us today is a very fucking special guest. I'm super stoked to be talking to this gentleman. I've been a fan for a long time. We're going to do a deep dive into his career and what he's been up to and all of that shit. Ladies and gentlemen, boils and ghouls, please welcome one of the most, I think, underrated vocalists in all of power and heavy metal, the one, the only, from Grim Reaper, Steve Grimmett. Steve Grimmett, how are you, brother?
I'm good, thank you. What an introduction. I wish I could do that shit. It just rips the shit out of my throat. So it's like, no.
You got the highs though, dude.
I've still got them, yeah, but I don't know how long that'll last.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to keep. I do vocals myself. I do, a lot of the death metal vocals, but with our band Handsome Prick, we vocally we're kind of everywhere. There's moments where it'll be like a power rock moment or a punk moment that requires a somewhat clean vocal. Yeah, it's very hard to keep. We were before we got on the horn with you here, I was trying to test the mics to see how high I could go. So maybe I can try to flatter you with a little impersonation of your vocal skills. But every time I do it, the mic just cuts out and you can't hear it anyway. So.
And that's your excuse.
Well, yeah. All right. So, man, how the hell have you been, brother? What you been up to since this whole COVID thing?
Actually, not as busy as I'd like to be because obviously the tour we had planned in 2020 had to be cancelled in the States. And pretty much everything else has. I've got the guys from South America knocking on my door to do a tour in October, but they are really bad out there with their COVID stuff. And I don't really want to put my guys in that, in the line of fire for that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I've had one vaccine shot. I've got another one on the 3rd of May, but it's like, they're not getting any out there. And it's just like, no, I just can't be doing it. Can't be doing it to anybody, so especially myself. So, but, so there's that. And then I was looking at coming out again to the States in March. But it seems like everybody and their dog is coming out in March. So it's like, right, okay, I'm going to fucking put it back to, to much later on in the year, I think. So it's probably be end of August, 2022. Been busy, I guess, in a way. I've been doing lots of songs for different people. And,
I did see you, Steve, not to interrupt you, but I did see a killer fucking video of you and a bunch of other cats, extraordinary drummer and guitar player doing a Dio, Holy Diver.
Yeah, we did. Well, yeah, we did Holy Diver. We did White Snakes. What was it? One of their big hits. Anyway, I think we've done about 5 so far. But the biggest one was Heaven and Hell.
I didn't see that one.
That had over 500,000 hits.
Oh man, get me all.
It's like
wet with anticipation now. Can we cut this interview off so I can check it out?
It did. I really don't know why it did, because everything else has done about 25 to 30,000, which is normal. Right. And I think even if Black Sabbath released that as a video now, they wouldn't get 500,000 hits. It's just so weird, but we did. So we've carried on doing it. We've done another. I've just finished another 2. I've got to do the videos for those shortly. So so it's been okay. It's been okay. I've, and not only that, I mean, because I've not been out anywhere, because I'm diabetic, and some of the medication I take also puts me in the firing line to be susceptible to picking up COVID. So I haven't been out. I mean, I sometimes go out, but it's it's not to a store or anything like that. It's just for a walk. Well, not walk, wheel. I have to use a scooter to go out, and just get fresh air. Basically, that's all I've done. But I build and fly radio-controlled model airplanes, and that's kept me busy too. So,
there you go.
Yeah, it's boys' toys, and. So I've it really hasn't affected me, to be quite honest with you.
Awesome. And that's good. And Steve, I want to circle back real quick, because when we were talking about Heaven and Hell and the Dio cover, I'd like to know I'm a huge Ronnie James Dio fan as well. And I thought his Sabbath work was just top notch, extraordinary. And it kind of revived Sabbath and sent them in a new creative direction. Is Ronnie James Dio one of those guys that you consider an influence, or what's your take on Dio? I mean, I know you covered the vocals, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on the man himself.
Well, to be quite honest, he wasn't one of my influences, and it's only recently, the last sort of 5 years, I've got into Dio in a big way.
Right.
I love the way that the songs are written for him and around him. I love the way he delivers his vocals. I love his lyrics. They're nonsensical to me, but it's just like, well, okay, that's cool. That's Dio.
Yeah.
I think he deserved in life what he got. He was a fucking master. An absolute master craftsman, absolutely. And then there's others that did influence me, like Rob Halford and David Coverdale. But my biggest influence, and this might surprise the shit out of you, is the reason that I sing is because of Elton John. I absolutely got into him as a kid, and still into him, and then recently I found out I'm distantly related to him too.
What? Get the fuck out of here. Breaking news, Steve Grimmett, man. So are we going to see like a Grim Reaper Elton John collab or what?
I wish, honestly, I really do. Because like I say, everything he touches, he's Midas, everything he touches is gold, and phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Hopefully one day I will get to do that, but I seriously doubt it.
Hey, you never know. Don't limit yourself, brother, and never say never.
I won't, but I seriously doubt that very much that'll happen. But you never know.
Yeah, didn't he do some shit with Axl and GNR back in the early 90s?
I think he did, yeah, and he's obviously just done some stuff with Ozzy Osbourne, and that sounds quite good, actually. Yeah, it's quite a meaningful song. So no, it's you never know. Never say never.
Hell yeah, dude. So how does that? Because now you struck my curiosity, if you will. Elton John, great vocalist. Don't get me wrong, dude's got a plethora of hits. That's why he's fucking making it rain all the time. How does that tie in? Where for you does heavy metal, like, to go back? Because when you guys, and you started with, you were in another band before, you weren't the original vocalist for Grim Reaper, right?
No, I was not. No. Well,
the most meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Basically, I was a bedroom singer, and Elton John, the things I used to sing along to. And a girlfriend caught me singing. She came round to see me, and she said, "Was that you singing?" Well, yeah. And like a few weeks later, she got me an audition for a local band, and I went to this audition, and I got the job. But the guitarist was the singer, and the manager persuaded him, like, you need to step away from this and play guitar. I don't think he liked it, because I only did the one show and that was it.
I'm out.
But it started me on my way. I got into several bands, and then the first one that that I had any sort of success with just before Grim Reaper was Medusa, and we did okay with that, but not as well as Grim Reaper.
Did you do Onslaught too? Was that before Grim Reaper or after?
That was after Grim Reaper. That was actually at the split of Grim Reaper. I did Onslaught. Yeah, I did one album with them, In Search of Sanity.
So when we're going back to that time, because what time did you guys really get started? So you're moving on now from Medusa to Grim Reaper, which is, I mean, dude, you guys, I'm going to date myself. I'm 38. So I was a little ass kid when you guys were fucking, just doing the motions and rocking the world. And then growing up as a kid of the MTV generation, quote unquote, I came across you guys, as I'm sure you've heard this before from many people, through Beavis and Butt-Head.
Yep.
So they did a couple of your guys' videos and funny shit, man. And back in the day, I was like a young punk. I really got super into music, mainly because of Nirvana. But so there were a lot of those bands I didn't like from the 80s, because I was like, man, it's kind of a dark time. And even for like some metal stuff. But I remember seeing you guys and I'm like, man, dude, this is like, I don't know if the term power metal, I mean, you consider it's like heavy metal, but
power metal. Yeah.
Yeah. With vocals like yours and just speed and ferocity that, you guys had. And there's some other great shit and stuff you guys do too. They're like, real quick, I'm trying to think of this. Fear No Evil, dude. Yeah. I fucking love that video. And the cowbell or whatever it is on it, the block, And your vocals are so powerful, dude. Like you could feel that shit. It's not just like, how can I put this in the words? I think back in the day, there were a lot of those bands that sang high just for the sake of singing.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't feel that.
Mine was all part of telling a story, and that is what I truly believe you should do as a vocalist. A, you're a vocalist. B, you're the front man. And C, you should be telling a story, because each song, no matter what it's about, is a story, and my part in that is to tell that story as best I can with what I have available to me, and if it means going high, it means going high. If it doesn't, then it stays where it is, and so all the high stuff that I used to do was just to accentuate an actual word or a line, and that's it. It wasn't to scream the roof off at all. It had, but everybody else started doing that, and I stuck to my guns, and because I got asked to do it, and I was like, no, because that's not me. It's not me, and. I went out recently with, not recently, last November actually, with the Three Tremors, because one of the guys couldn't make it to Europe, so I went out there with them, and that's all high stuff, and I did. I actually managed to do some of it, but it's still not me. But I did enjoy that. But there's just no need for it. What's the point? What are you doing it for? Are you trying to tell us that you're the best vocalist because you can reach high notes and stuff? Okay, whatever. I'll still be doing what I do, and doing what I do best. So I mean,
rocking the joint. Yeah.
I mean, Dio never did it.
Right.
He never did.
But there were guys in other genres, for example, that, I mean, you look at Freddie Mercury, another guy that I just like idolize as like a vocalist all time. Dude, he's up there on the Mount Rushmore of just music vocalists. I'm not even going to, categorize it in the rock or pop or whatever, because that guy was just
phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. He's another one. If you listen to him, he's telling a story too.
Exactly.
It's all from the heart, and he's telling that story in each song, and you can tell that he's doing it too, and I think that's what I do, or that's what I'd like. I think that's what I do, and because like you are the storyteller. That's what you're there for. That's what you do. You know, and he did that so well. So well.
Well, speaking of stories and storytelling, there's something I've been like waiting for the day to be like, man, if I could talk to somebody from Grim Reaper, I had to ask, what is the story behind one of my personal favorite songs, Suck It and See?
Yeah. Right. Well, first off, it's a double entendre. Okay. Suck It and See actually in the UK means, okay, we'll give it a try, see what happens.
Okay.
That's what Suck It and See means. But the double entendre, of course, is a story about me losing my virginity to the babysitter, and pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's fucking awesome. I'm curious. I'm going to back up here a little bit. Sure. Let's talk about I first discovered you guys through like Beavis and Butt-Head back in the day. At that time, I mean, this is kind of like, I think, see, I try to pull all from memory. So forgive me if I'm off on some of this shit, but, I don't think Grim Reaper wasn't doing anything at that time. Cause we're talking about what, like early 90s.
Yeah. We weren't doing anything by then.
You guys were done
done.
But I feel, did that Beavis and Butt-Head thing, did it do anything to kind of reignite like any interest in the band? And I'm curious as to what were your guys' thoughts upon seeing, you know, because they did like 2 or 3 videos of you guys.
Yeah, they did all the videos.
Okay, yeah.
And that was by accident, actually. The first one, they did See You in Hell. Yes. And they ripped the shit out of it.
Whoa!
one of our guys said, "Hey, have you seen the video? You know, have you seen Beavis and Butt-Head and what they've done to See You in Hell?" No, let's have a look. And we fucking loved it. We thought it was brilliant. we thought it was the funniest thing we'd seen, you know, and we loved it. Like I say, anyway. We bumped into, and I forget the guy's name, who the
Mike Judge?
Yeah. We bumped into him, and I think he thought we were going to kill him. And we said, no, we love it. We absolutely love it that you've done it. And he says, the reason it's there is because I'm a fan. And that was it. We were, and still, the only band that ever had all of their videos on Beavis and Butt-Head.
Shit. It's like, whoa,
that's awesome.
That's Wolverine.
It runs and it runs and it reruns and it reruns and it reruns. And it's, I mean, I think it's on its 4th or 5th time in the UK. And that I could be walking down the street and says, "Hey, you're on Beavis and Butt-Head." Yeah, yes, I am. Yeah. Thank you. But it's great. It's brilliant. I mean, I know it pissed a lot of people off, but not for us. It really didn't. It was.
That says a lot about your characters too. I mean, you can, and me and Sredden are the same way. You know, if you can't fucking poke fun at yourself, you know, I mean, you're probably a lame duck.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, definitely. It didn't do anybody any harm. It did us a lot of good, and you know, and I suspect the program too. But why the hell not?
Did they have to ask you guys permission for that to air those, or
they may have asked RCA at the time? Okay. I don't know. We certainly personally didn't get asked to do it. It's to say it was a surprise to us when it first came on. So yeah.
So, what was it like back in those fucking like early days? Like when you guys are just like in your prime as Grim Reaper, ripping shit up, you know, just throwing out Rock You to Hell is one of my favorite fucking albums. I have that on vinyl. I was lucky enough to find that. And like, what was it like in your prime? Like the shows, what's some of like the insane moments that you can remember? Like, man, am I really here right now doing this? Like, good or bad?
I think that there was always loads of moments, but the biggest one for me was doing the Texas Jam, and that was a major show because that was at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah,
it was 83,000 people.
Wow. Holy shit.
You know, from doing sort of clubs stroke halls, you know, so from sort of 500 to 5,000, then all of a sudden 83,000. It's like, what the fuck?
How are your nerves?
Well, there's a story to that. We got picked up in a limo at our hotel, and the driver said to us all, "Look, I'm not going to go in the normal way because it's getting pretty stacked up now, you know, because everybody's getting there."
Yeah.
He said, "So I'm going to go around a different way." Okay, fine. So anyway, we're like, I know we were only 20 minutes away from the stadium, and we're like half an hour so far. And then Nick saw a place. He said, "We've just passed that." And we said, "Are you lost?" Yeah, he said, I am lost. Maybe.
Did you guys give us some of your reefer or something? What?
Yeah, it's like, fucking hell. Anyway, Nick was the one that was panicking. And he spotted a police station. It was a house, but it was obviously a police officer's house with a sign out the front. And so driver stopped, and out came this officer with our albums in his hand. He said, "My sons absolutely love you. Will you sign these? And I'll give you a woo-woo escort all the way to the fucking stadium." Signed it, and he did just that. And we got there with 20 minutes to go. So we didn't see or go up behind stage to have a look. We just got there, put our kit on, and off we went to play. So, and it was just as well, really, because when we got up on the stage, I was like, oh shit, I've never seen that many people in one place at any one time. And the nerves did get better of me. You know, my mouth dried up, my tongue teeth and all that shit. But you know,
nerves, ladies and gentlemen, not cocaine.
You're exactly right. Yeah. But yeah, it was a couple of songs in, you know, it was all back to normal and doing the job, and it was a fantastic show. It was brilliant.
I bet, like, the way I would like envision it, I mean, if I was to put myself in your shoes for that moment, like you said, you know, like the first couple songs, it's like, oh, what the fuck, you know? But when you're up there as a performer, you know, you can do this thing where it's just everything is zoned out. Everybody is zoned out in, like, you're just in that zone where it's you and your bandmates, and you're trying to focus on delivering the best fucking, you know, product that you can deliver. So I would still, though, like, that many people, I think I could get myself in the zone, but it probably would take a couple songs to do that, because you look at that many people. I mean, and especially, you know how it is. I mean, you came up in the old school time where, dude, to make anything, to sell albums, back when being a band, to make money, you had to sell albums. Nowadays, it's all fucked up. It's all weird. You know, you got to be an online presence. You got to sell tons of fucking merch, and you can put out an album, but no one gives two shits about it, because everybody's like ADD, like, you know, let me just look at this. Let me go this next album. Like, it's so fucked up. So I got mad respect for you on that, man. You guys came up in a tough time where selling albums actually meant something. Yeah,
because it doesn't anymore, you know, which is a shame. But I, you know, you're just saying about zoning out. It was actually one of our road crew that got me through that, because, like, after the second song, all these women were getting their tits out.
The fucking like, bloomers.
Oh, hell, you know, is my cock or what? But one of our road crew had, in fact, it was Mr. I can't remember. It was, I think it was our bass tech, Bill Lewis. He'd made up this sign that says, "Come on, girls, show us your tits." And of course, I didn't see that because he was behind me. Because all of a sudden, all these tits started coming out. Okay, yeah, great.
That's when you had your butthead moment. And you're like, whoa.
I was like, whoa.
yeah, check it out. There's tits. Wow, dude.
Yeah.
So how wild were the ladies back then?
Wild. Absolutely wild. It really was. I mean, and you've probably heard this quote before, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And it was. It really was.
Wow.
Backstage, there was just women and guys wanting to meet you and all the rest of that shit. Well, now it's just like we're in there on our own, on our mobile phones, on our cell phones. Yeah, I've had all that. I don't need it anymore.
Right? Serving. Did you guys have like one of those number tickers at the deli? Now serving number 22. Bring your tits and let's have a good time.
Yeah, we still do. I can't say that we don't not see anybody, because what we always do, and what I've always done, is as soon as we finish the show, I towel down, maybe change, and then go out and meet the fans. I tell them when we're on stage, look, if you hang around after the show, give us a couple of minutes and we'll come out and meet you. So that's what we do every show. We'll go out and do an impromptu meet and greet so they can take photographs and have shit signed. And I enjoy that, because if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't be there doing it, and I really do appreciate that, because like I say, none of us would be doing it if it wasn't for them, and that, because I do make money at touring, but it's not anywhere near enough. So if you go out, they start buying your merch and everything, that's great. So that kind of encourages them to buy merch for you to sign and stuff like that, But I just love doing that, because it's my appreciation of thanking them, or my way of saying thank you for your help.
And that's really cool, because there's a lot of guys in the business, and I'm sure you've come across them, which is leading into my next question, that are fucking absolute assholes. Back in the day, did you guys ever have any problem with any bands you were on tour with or anything? Just like a group or a set of guys, or one guy in particular that you just couldn't get along with for whatever reason?
Yeah, that still goes on now, and I don't understand why. We've never been arseholes to any of our band ever, and because I don't believe in that. We have a band over here called Magnum, and we toured with them in this country, and every night they made us feel welcome. They moved stuff if we needed it to set up and stuff, and I said, thank you guys, I really appreciate that. And they said, well, we may meet you on our way down, and we would like you to be nice to us as you're on your way up, And I always remembered that. I have met a few arseholes, but I just avoid them, because what's the point? If they got to be arseholes and be in this business, don't bother me with it, So
yeah. Hey, Steve, on the flip side of that coin, though, who would you say is the coolest motherfucker you ever played and toured with? And then there's a second part to that question, right? Check this out. Who, because of music and because of the bands that you were in and what you're able to do and accomplish, did you get to meet that you would have never thought you would have been able to rub elbows with, and were like, oh man, this guy's fucking cool?
Ozzy was cool. He was a smashing guy, but he could have been drunk at the time, or snowed out, one of the two. Not quite sure. But he seems a nice guy. who else we've done stuff with? Actually, Bon Jovi wasn't so bad either. He was okay. We didn't tour with them. To be quite honest, we've never really toured with anybody. We've always headlined our own shows all the time. So, I get to meet like Raven, the Gallagher brothers, fantastic guys, they're really, really nice guys. I'll get on well with John, especially. But yeah, so we never really toured with anybody. So I've met people at different events and stuff. That's where I met Ozzy at an event, and I don't know. I get a bit starstruck, to be quite honest, when I meet people. I had the opportunity to meet Tim Ripper Owens.
Nice.
And I was just like, oh shit, he was Judas Priest. What the fuck, Yeah. And he seemed really off when I met him, and I was like, okay, you could be one of these guys who not quite an asshole, but Anyway, we got talking, and it turns out he felt exactly the same as me. He was like, "Well, you're Steve Grimmett from Grim Reaper," and I'm like, "Oh."
Well, dude,
I'm just a guy who sings. That's it. That's
right.
That's it.
And it's cool. It's like I get that vibe, like talking to you, but you're fucking down to earth. It cools all to be, man. It's fucking that's. Well,
there's being an asshole gets you nowhere, doesn't it? Really, No. I can be an asshole, but only when I'm being treated like an asshole.
Exactly. When people are dishing it out, you always serve it back 7 times more.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Well, I've been worse, actually. Since I lost my leg, I don't know if you were going to get onto that, but I'm still suffering with PTSD. And,
right.
And that can raise its ugly head sometimes. And as much as I can control it, I just get out of control, and I have to fuck off into a corner and just be by myself and calm down and shit. It's very difficult to deal with.
Right.
That's a pain in the ass.
You were in a different country when this happened, right?
Yeah, well, it all started. We were on South American tour,
right?
And we spent 10 days in Mexico. And basically, I'm diabetic, as I mentioned before. I had an ulcer on the bottom of my right foot, and I thought it had cleared up. So did the hospital. Went on tour, but it obviously wasn't. And you don't drink the water, let alone shower in it, if you've got cuts and all that sort of stuff. And basically spent the 10 days there. And by the time we got to Ecuador, I was in a lot of pain. I got to Guayaquil in Ecuador, and I was in an absolute pain. I couldn't walk. It was that painful. And I had a doctor come and visit me in the hotel, shot me full of drugs, and did whatever he did to my foot. And he actually came with me to the show. And I did the show, but most of it I had to sit down. I was basically I was dying. I had sepsis, and it was poisoning me basically. And it was it was bloody awful. And like I say, at the end of the show, I spent an hour with the kids. This doctor was there, and he kept looking at his watch. And on the hour, he said, "Right, that's enough. We're going to hospital." And what was it? About 3 days later, they were taking my leg off.
Fuck. What was that? I mean, when they told you that that's what they had to do, I mean, I can't imagine that. We also do a wrestling podcast. We know someone, pro wrestler, former female bodybuilder, this literally just happened to as well.
Really?
Yeah. It's, so And I can't imagine. I'm really weird. I've sliced both of my hands open. You know, I got the like Jesus Christ thing going on. And I could tell there's like some nerve damage and shit, but that's, you know, I've never broken a bone in my body. I've never had to have surgery. So I can't even imagine like what, you know, when they tell you this, that, hey, man, we have to take your leg. I mean, at the time that they tell you this, are you doped up from the medication or like, what was your reaction?
No, not really. I mean, they got me in and operated on my foot, and they cut that to pieces, basically my foot, to try and get rid of the infection. Right. Now, I didn't see any of this, obviously, but they took pictures of it, which I eventually got. And it was about after 4 or 5 days, they came in and took all the dressings off. And I looked at my foot and I was like, do you know what? I don't want that on the end of my leg anymore. And the doctor came in and she said, we're going to have to take your foot off. I said, okay, fine. And I was actually really fine about it because I had looked into the possibility of losing my leg below knee. Mm-hmm. And it was quite a favourable way of getting back walking with just a below knee prosthetic. It was quite easy. Right. And then basically after that, 5 days later, I was in pain again. And they took the dressings off and it was horrible to look at. And basically I'd got necrosis in the cut, which is a flesh-eating disease. Mm-hmm. And so they had to take me above knee. And that was, again, I accepted it because it was like, you've either got to do this or you're going to die. Yeah,
it's reality. You have to.
It is total reality. And I accepted that. But the worst thing was the 3 operations that they did, the foot, the below knee and above knee, I was awake for the operation. Yeah.
You ain't getting in the death metal scene. You've been through some shit.
Yeah. And that they just gave me a epidural, straight in the back.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't feel it, but I could hear them sawing through my bones. And it wasn't like a bone saw, an electric bone saw. It was a fucking...
really? That's what they fucking used?
Yeah, handsaw. And that was, I mean, when they cut me above knee, it was just like, I got because it's a much bigger bone.
Yeah.
And they went through it and they kept getting the saw stuck in my bone. I don't know whether you
make me throw up, Steve.
I don't know whether you've ever been in a situation where you've got to dig deep, right in really inward to inside yourself, where you've got to say, I've got to get through this. I have got to get through this. And I was in there doing that. And I was thinking about other people who'd lost their legs and come back from it. Like, I don't know if you're aware, there was a fighter pilot in the Second World War, British fighter pilot called Sir Douglas Bader. And he lost both of his legs before the Second World War. But he climbed into a Spitfire and shot down loads of Germans, and I was like, right, if he can do it, I can fucking do it. And basically, I had half an hour's internet a day, free internet. And so I spent 15 minutes looking at what I could do as an amputee and how to get back up on my feet and start walking. And the other half was like talking to my family in rotation, So right. I used to get on the internet, download a load of stuff and then read it afterwards. So I was quite au fait with prosthetics and all that sort of stuff, and driving again because I did not want to drive, and I found out that was quite easy you are allowed to drive an automatic. Well, you guys have autos over there, we're all stick shift over here, so but I've now got an auto car which has got a left foot flip accelerator gas pedal.
Okay.
So when the wife drives the car, it's that you've got the right pedal there, and when I'm driving it, you pull that one down, and then I've got the left one. So So I looked all that stuff up, and 6 months after that, I was back on stage.
Yeah, dude, I remember that shit happening. It blew me away. Didn't who's that? What's the guy's name? You might know from Metal Mythos. He's on YouTube. He does the Metal Mythos, like video reviews. What is it, like the Metal Rage guy? I can't remember his name. Didn't he put some kind of thing? They did also. I've done all sorts of interviews about it, and some are like purely about that. I've had guys take videos of the first show, and they're spinning around the internet. But that I say I've got this rapport with my fans. That was what confirmed it as well, because we did the show. It was Headbangers Open Air in Germany, and the stage was in two halves. So you got the top part with all the drums, guitars and stuff. I stayed up there most of the time, and then for the last song we did in the set, See You in Hell, my wife had come over with me, and I asked her to help me down to the second stage. Got down there, and as I was walking out towards the crowd, that they were getting louder and louder and louder. And when I finally got to the edge of the stage, they were just going for it in a big way. And to be quite honest with you, it reduced me to tears. It was quite a moment, I've got to say. And it just made it all worthwhile, all the fight, and to learn to walk again, because that's something else. When I first put the leg on, it was I couldn't walk. It was like, how the hell do you? Because it's something that you've never thought of ever in your life about walking. You've just never done it, and then here I am with one leg that is still in that not having to think about walking, and then the other one was like, well, I've got to do this, and I've got to. 2 weeks I couldn't make a step, couldn't take one. And then I had a bit of an epiphany, and it was just like, this is what you've got to do. Oh, yeah. And that was it. I was off. And I wasn't in rehab for very long, but I've got to get back to it, really, because obviously during this lockdown period, I haven't done much walking. I've been sat in my wheelchair most of the time. But I will get there. Fuck yeah, you will, man. Gotta get ready to rock these mothers again at some point.
Absolutely. Well, at least it lends itself to a fucking t-shirt. Anyway, I've got like a picture of me, and I'm going to have a back part, Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper, only one leg but still kicking ass. So.
Yes.
So that's that.
I'm buying that. Fuck yeah. Dude, another one of your bands that kicked ass that I want to ask you about this, because Lionsheart, dude, I remember like hitting you up on man, this was on Facebook a few years back, because I think, and this is obviously before the whole leg thing and all that, you guys were doing a gig in Chicago.
Yes, we did.
And dude, Abyss is one of my that's a fucking killer album, dude. That's like just holy shit. Like, man, you can go from like that era in Grim Reaper to go to Lionsheart, and shout out to my boys Zach and Brad. We're all three really big fans of that fucking album, dude. What was and was that the last Lionsheart album? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, Abyss. Yes, it was. Yes, yeah. We had it started off with a self-titled album. That was with the Hours twins, Steve and Mark. Some phenomenal songs on that album, but they just lied to me through their teeth. It was, we want to go out on tour, we want to do this, we want to do that. And actually, when it came to it, all they wanted to do was play in their fucking bedroom. So that was a shame, really, because that album went straight to number one in the Japanese charts, which is totally unheard of for a non-Japanese band.
Right.
And, we toured there and it was all great, but obviously I couldn't live with the fact that they were in charge of my career, and it was just like, well, that was it, see you, bye. But yeah, there's some great songs on all 4 albums, they really are.
Which one? What's your personal favorite?
Portrait.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Portrait. Yeah, and Can't Believe, I think, is another one. But that was sort of very aimed at White Snake, blues-based rock. But yeah, I mean, I like a lot of the songs, but my favourites, I suppose, were off the first album.
Dude, and so after this, after don't you have most of those guys now though from Lionsheart, the last incarnation, at least in Grim Reaper?
In Grim Reaper, yeah, I've got Ian Nash, the guitarist.
Right.
He's with me. He's been with me for a long, long time.
He played the original Grim Reaper, right?
No.
Okay, I'm mixing it up.
That was Nick Bocock. Nick Bocock was the original guitarist. And Nick joins us every so often. The show that we did in Chicago in 2014, Nick actually joined us for the whole set, and that was good. He came over from the States to play with us at Sweden Rock too, and then when we do tour out in the States, he joins us when we're local to him. So I'm still good friends with Nick. With Nick, and yeah.
And right before this COVID thing happened, I mean, you guys had you just put out another under Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper. You guys just had another album.
Yeah.
Right, like 2019. Was it 2019?
Yeah, At the Gates.
Yes, At the Gates. And the one before, I didn't know, man, because I didn't really see any promotional shit for that. And that's the bullshit thing about like internet and stuff, is like, cool as it is to have to promote. Yeah. If you're not paying those fucking Facebook and shit like an exorbitant amount of money, nobody.
It doesn't get to everybody, does it? And we just haven't got the support that we used to have for that. Like the magazines and stuff, and support from the record label as well in some certain circumstances. You just haven't got it. But it is what it is. We can't change it, and we've just got to wait and.
No, we can only tell people that there are a couple of Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper albums out there, and take two. Call me in the morning.
Walking in the Shadows was the first.
Yeah,
Steve Grim Reaper, and then At the Gates was the second. And they're good albums. I'm proud of them. Very proud of them, actually. And they've all received. Do you know what? I've never ever had a bad review for either of those albums. Not once. Can't find. Not that I do look for them, but I certainly haven't seen, any of them as a bad review. So that's all good news,
Yeah, for sure. What's in the works currently? I mean, after all this shit's over, you guys going to go back to writing? I remember seeing a picture not too long ago on Facebook. You said you were dealing with like writer's block and shit. How's that going for you?
Yeah,
I get that, man, as an artist myself, and like whether it's drawing or writing or anything, like it's hard to get out of that sometimes.
It is, and it's really hard. And then I've had a bit of a I don't know what to call it, but I started writing again, so it's good news. I am writing an album with some American guys. In fact, the guys that I used, that I didn't use, I played with in the Three Tremors. We're actually writing a new album, but I'm not quite sure whether it's going to be Grim Reaper or it's going to be probably just Steve Grimmett. and but I don't know that for sure yet. Not quite sure, because we haven't done anything. We could have, the lineup I got now. We could have done it. We could have done it by internet, but nobody's approached me with any of it. And so I've decided that I'll just get on with it myself. And hey ho, we'll see.
I'm curious. At the top of the show, you said Elton John was a big inspiration to you. And other than like metal, what's some other music that you're really into? What the hell is going on at Steve Grimmett's head?
You don't want to fucking know that.
I do. Question is, do you want to know what's going on in this sick motherfucker's head?
Yeah,
I don't want to know.
No, it'll get me fucking arrested. No. What else do I listen to? Well, what I do is listen to what I love.
Right.
I love Whitesnake. I love Dio again, and you mentioned Queen, and I've recently got into Queen. What did it for me really was the movie, and it was just fuck. What have I missed? Because, a close friend of mine tried to get me into him when Killer Queen was out, and I just like, oh no, I can't be arsed with this. It's just like fucking glam rock, and
really.
And I'm like, no, I can't be dealing with that. I really dismissed.
I can't be caught with this shit.
Fucking what? Yeah, and basically, although I was into a lot of that in the day, I started listening to it, and I thought, what the fuck have I missed? So I've been listening to that lately as well, and now I'm a fan, and it's just such a bloody shame that I never got to see Queen as a band, because I'd love to have done that, but that was my own fault. But I also, have you ever heard of a band called Slade?
Fuck yes, Slade's fucking awesome, dude. Yes,
they were my first band.
No shit
that I loved, and as a teenager, very early teenage actually. Yeah, they are fucking great, and Thin Lizzy.
I fucking got a huge heart on for Thin Lizzy, dude. I think Phil Lynott gets a lot of credit. But I still think he's another one of those guys that is as much credit as he gets. I still think he's underrated as far as like just Oraka goes. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. Immense talent across the board, whether he wanted to do metal. He even did, what was that? Didn't he do some shit with a couple of dudes from the Sex Pistols? They did like a Christmas thing. It was they had like a punk weird band.
I think you're right, but I can't remember what it was.
And they did two Christmas songs, and that was it. And I was like, holy shit, because I think it was like Steve Jones, the guitar player from the Sex Pistols. And
yeah, it might have been. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, his talent was all over the place. I mean, Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds, he was Nathan, and the priest. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And he, in his own, they broke big, but it was always not quite riding the crest of the wave. Things used to let them down.
Yeah.
And it was just like, such a shame. And one of the best songwriters you've ever listened to. He taught many people how to songwrite. Gary Moore, one of them,
Gary Moore is so fucking, dude, so great. Black Rose, dude, is like one of my favorite fucking albums, dude. And they made like Irish folklore music sound like Black Sabbath, it was like, fuck yeah, dude. Tell me the legends of long ago. That shit fucking rips. I fucking love it, dude. I'm getting goosebumps talking to fucking Steve Grimmett about Thin Lizzy. It's the shit. dude, it's such a tragic tale too. There's a good doc. It's like an hour, 2 hour long movie, and there's supposed to be some new, like super well done, big movie studio produced documentary coming out about him. But there is something that was done several years ago on YouTube, and it's a couple hours long. And they talked to everybody that was around him, bandmates, and who's their drummer, Brian. Play those drums, Brian. He's so fucking underrated. That dude was killer, dude. Like
fucking
Christ.
Never overstated, was he? Just fucking played it for the song.
Playing it fucking well, brother. Really fucking well. Like a well-oiled fuck machine, man. He was fucking tearing that shit up. And Vagabonds of the Western World, which was their third release. Holy shit, that's got some just like like fucking just heavy ass shit, dude. Blue Eyes, man. That fucking, oh my God. I love Thin Lizzy. And when I wasn't around when he passed, you know, like, but they're so impactful, like, to me, that like just you feel like you were there, you know, you were in that generation. When you lose someone that great of talent, you know, like, I guess I can equate it to like, well, now I have my dead rock stars, you know. I never wanted that as a kid. I was like, man, all the greats of like my friends' parents and my parents' generations, like the Jim Morrisons and the Hendrixes and whatever are all gone. I don't want to be that guy that has one of the rock idols. And then, you know, Kurt Cobain blows his brains out and I'm like, shit. It's the same thing for me though. Like kids that are like 20 years, you know, ahead of me that were born 20 years later are now discovering like Nirvana and shit, and like, and they feel that they have like that synchronization, that empathetic feeling that I don't know what it is, man, but, and it sucks because when you look at a lot of these talented artists that you really, really connect to, a lot of them are gone, and it almost makes it like a morbid experience, which kind of sucks. But I mean, maybe that's the sign of a true troubled artist, you know. That's always been the thing. Artists are supremely troubled in their own thoughts and mind and whatever. It's, man, I'm getting on a fucking tirade here, Steve, but you start talking Thin Lizzy with me, man. You tickle my fancy.
Well, that was the very first song I ever did on stage. It was The Boys Are Back in Town.
Nice.
I ever did. Yeah. So that's a fucking long time ago.
You ever think about doing any more, like covering some fucking Thin Lizzy?
Actually, I could do that with Steve Stein, you know, the guy that we do our lockdown series, as we call them. That's one I hadn't thought of, actually. I hadn't thought of like, we should do that. Yeah. I will approach him with that, because I've literally just approached him, say, right, okay, we need some more songs. What are we going to do? Let's do some Queen. And I don't think he's that keen on doing that. So maybe Thin Lizzy will kick him up the arse. I don't know. I'm going to kick your ass, Steve Stein.
You ever heard of a band called Buffalo from Australia?
No.
They have an album called Volcanic Rock. I guess these were guys that were like AC/DC was afraid to party with these dudes back in the day.
All right.
They're good. They're really fucking heavy. The cover of their album's like some, and this is like early mid 70s, I think. Some weird, forgive me now for what I'm about to say, because this wasn't my idea, but the album cover is really fucked up. It's like a drawing of this figure of this, like, I guess like a lava guy holding a big cock. I don't know why he has a cock. It's weird, but dude, they are so fucking good and like groovy and heavy. I'd be remiss if I didn't say like a band like Soundgarden didn't fucking hear these guys at one point, because like some of the riffage and everything. Which also brings me another quick question I have for you. Going back into the 90s, was there anything in that whole scene, albeit whether it's under the label of grunge, alternative, any of that shit that you saw there? Hey, there was like a shimmer of hope for, you know, you saw a few bands. You're like, man, you know what? These guys are actually unique and they're good.
Yeah,
you're giving me that like not really look.
Yeah, I've got to think about that. I did like Metallica, and I think they were around when Reaper was around before I joined Onslaught. But I think they carried the torch really for a while and kept rock going really. But no, not really. I don't think there was anything else I really liked. I'm a bit old-fashioned in my ways of thinking about what I do like and what I don't like,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Is there anybody now that you've heard of in the last, say, 20 years, like a new band that, because there's a lot of like hidden gems. Like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but like Sweden is this like breeding ground for bands that record awesome throwback sounding shit. Like this band Witchcraft that sounds like they're playing it was recorded in the 70s. They got like a Pentagram meets Jethro Tull meets Black Sabbath vibe, and it all sounds vintage, like at least their first 3 albums. Is there anything like that?
There is actually. There's a band called Neuron Spoiler. They're from London. I think they're all. I think that they're from London, and they've really got the 80s thing going. I know a lot of young bands like to think that they are 80s, but they don't carry it off. And my
son's 13. He's like, I love the 80s. I'm like, man, shut up. You don't fucking shit about the 80s.
Well, what it is, basically, it's what I was talking about earlier on about heart, and you can. The reason that our stuff, most stuff, sounds different to, say, an up-and-coming young band is the fact that we record real drums.
Yeah.
So it swings around a beat and all that.
No triggers, no bullshit.
No triggers or anything like. Well, even if you're triggering off a real drum. Mm-hmm. So that's okay because you're still getting that feel. Whereas if you use a drum machine, it's all in time and everything, but it's heartless, it's soulless.
Yeah.
So, I think that's what they struggle with because studio time's expensive these days, and I know that because I run one. I've got my own, and we're not expensive by any stretch of the imagination.
Good, because me and Sretton are flying over. We're going to record next time with you in person in your fucking studio.
Yeah, and basically, these kids can't afford it, so they record. They can put $1,000 together and have a decent studio, and decent sounding, and that's what they're doing. They're doing it in their bedroom.
Do you see? Oh yeah, and shit like Pro Tools has made that like
Cubase
thing to do.
Yeah, so it's basically that's what I do with the lockdown songs. It's all recorded in my. Well, I've got 2 studios. I've got one here at home and one in Oxford near London, and it's just as cheap. In fact, it's cheaper. It doesn't cost you anything, and that's part of what's happening today in the music industry is that you can get a deal, but they don't put any money out. You've got to approach them. You've got to approach them with a finished article, with the finished artwork, blah 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 blah, and you don't get any advances, which is actually in some circumstances quite good, but you don't get any of that. So you and that is the state of play these days.
Steve,
you're not getting any advances.
Let me be honest with you, brother. Back in the day in the 80s, what'd you guys do with those advances?
With Reaper, it really wasn't. We didn't get advances really.
Really, not even with fucking RCA?
No, because with RCA, we only ever recorded the the last album with RCA.
Right. Okay.
And basically, all they did was pay for Max Norman and the studio time, so we didn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I know they did give advances to Ebony Records, which was our parent company, but we never saw any of it. So, and I'll tell you something now, right? I have received no money whatsoever for any of the Grim Reaper stuff at all.
Yeah,
I'm still fighting it now.
Really, and I'm sure that's a fucking never-ending battle with that shit.
12 years.
Jesus Christ. See, and there's guys that I look up to that, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, and I kind of like your opinion maybe on this. Maybe you don't know shit about them, but maybe not. One of the guys I think, as far as DIY and the highest level of DIY, and I'm not talking about like the punk rock thing. I'm just like saying this guy was a fucking straight up musician. It's what he wanted to do. It's what he fucking did. And to the highest degree is Frank Zappa. He owned all of his shit. He did 4 albums, I think. Maybe it was anywhere between 2 to 4 albums for Warner Brothers. And the guy was such genius. He was just like, some bogus shit. I'm not on their fucking record trip. Like, I'll just pump out 2 albums real quick. He recorded 2 albums worth of shit in one studio sitting and basically got here's your records. I'm the fuck out of here, and owned all of his publishing, all of his shit. And I think Jimi Hendrix was another guy that it was very rare back in the day that you saw an artist like actually control their integrity, their interests, their fucking what do you call that? Their brand, because like you're saying, a fucking over a decade long battle, and you don't get to see any fucking thing from that. Like, how the fuck does that work?
No. Do you know the first money I saw from any record sales was when I was in Onslaught, and I've still got the check now, and it was for £53, $70 odd. And I'm like, oh, I got to frame this. So I did, and I framed it. And it, I've since I've been with Dissonance, we do see money. We're not being cheated out of any money. So, and I can phone them up at any time and say, right, how many albums have I sold? Tell me. And within seconds, you've sold this amount. And that's okay. And we get decent advances as well, and so that's okay. But yeah, for an up and coming these days, man, they just there's nobody out there willing to help anybody, which is a shame. And they don't know anything about collecting money, about owning or knowing what they own. You can join the Musicians Union over here, which is a massive union, but it costs you like £200 a year.
Yeah, and you got something like that in the States. It's like the ASCAP.
ASCAP,
yeah.
So I'm part of ASCAP as well, but it's like you can't survive without those people. But having said that, with the Musicians Union, you get help with any contracts and all that sort of stuff. You get help fighting court battles and stuff over your music.
They'll send in their lawyers.
Yeah, okay, they've got great lawyers, and they can be very helpful. But these kids don't go to them because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
So, they're all going to be sold down the river at some point.
That's why we put out our shit independent. We our last album, Anonymityville, we did with a record label. I'm going to say Horror, Pain, Gore, Death. I fucking said it, whatever. And not to knock the guy that put it out, but it was like all of a sudden we start seeing shirts coming out that weren't approved by us, or fucking there just wasn't a lot of promotion. That's with us. We played like the grindcore shit. So it's really crazy. It's really hard on people anyway. The general populace, if you will, as far as music listeners, because they really don't give a fuck about it anyway. Like you have to really be in tune with this genre, this style of music to give two shits about it. Yeah. We had 2 albums put out with our old band, Decrypt, back in the day. That same thing as you. Like I can tell you right now, the albums I've downloaded of yours on iTunes, you probably haven't seen shit from, right?
No.
Yeah, there you go. Same thing with us. Our albums are on there, but we ain't seen shit. I'm pretty sure my drummer Brad told me that, like, man, I haven't like seen anything from like the iTunes or any of that shit. Like, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what he told me. And it's so weird how you do all that shit nowadays. Like, dude, the business side of it for those people in music that can fucking work it out and get it. And unfortunately, I always come to, and I learned a lot from my guitar player in Decrypt about, I used to be that guy to like, all right, we'd play a show and I go off in my own little space and maybe like behind the merch table or do whatever, like, you know, smoke a fucking doob or drink a beer and just like be away from people. Cause like, I'm kind of weird with people, believe it or not. It's true. But they would come out and talk to Chris and do things, and he would meet and like set up future shows and shit. And that's how I learned to do a lot, you know, just by observing, sitting in the background, observing, and then knowing from, dude, when I was a kid, I read, if there was a music fucking book out, I read it, you know, like, and knowing to expect that. I mean, it's art essentially, unless you're some psychogenetic genius in any medium of art, you're going to fucking starve for your art, you know, like, that's just the way it is. You might do okay, but to me, okay is still starving, because in my mind, my art and my creativity and my blessings that I bestow upon the world are worth millions, you know, just like they are to fucking everybody, but it's all subjective. It's art, you know, music, all that.
Yeah. Boys, I'm going to have to cut you short, unfortunately. Have you got enough?
No, you're going to have to tell everybody right now where they can find you at, where they can find Grim Reaper, Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper at online, where they can follow you.
You can find me on Facebook, either Steve Grimmett Official or Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper. We're on Facebook. What's the other one? Instagram. I'm on that too. Our website is being sorted out as we speak. It's grimreaperofficial.co.uk. And you know, you can message me, whatever. I will talk to you, and it is always me, because I always get that.
That is true. That is true. Take it from the juice.
Is it really you?
Yeah, I couldn't fucking believe it. Like I said, going back to like a few years back when you're in Chicago, I was like, man, you guys gonna have any fucking Lionheart's fucking shirt? And I think at the time you're like, oh, we got fucked, or there was something going on. You guys didn't have any shirts or some shit. It's like, God damn it, man. But you will get to talk to the only official Steve Grimmett, the voice of Grim Reaper, the only voice I give a fuck about, and the only voice you should give a fuck about too.
Thank you very much, sir. That's very kind of you. And when I'm over there again, we should meet up and have a few beers.
Oh, dude. Hey, my house is always open.
Awesome. Thank you.
Chicagoland, your brother. We'll exchange contacts and we'll make it happen. I thank you so much for this, Steve. And I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors. Whatever you guys got going on, fuck all the bullshit. It's fucking full power forward, brother. Till next time, everybody, thank you for listening. Be sure to hit us up on all the socials. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, Justin. And I just want to say to my fans, thanks very much for your support. Come to a show when we're there again, and hope you're all okay and staying safe.
That's right. Heavy metal. Steve Grimmett, Grim Reaper. We fucking tore it up on this one. If you guys like that, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, ring that notification bell. And if you're listening on any podcasting platform right now, make sure you download. And if you like this shit, share it with your friends. Rate and review the show. We like to have a good time. We like to bring in people that we love to have a good time with us, like fucking Steve. And we hope you all enjoyed everything. Follow us Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The JPDUB podcast. Until next time, we love you. Peace out. If you like that video, then please hit subscribe and share with all of your friends and continue to support the JPDUB podcast. We're all over the place on all podcasting platforms for your stimulation.